Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Forever Young, program that celebrates life after 50. Because as they say, life begins 40, everything else is a dress rehearsal. But when you get to 50, you're into a different phase of life where you've experienced a lot, you know a lot, and you're ready to go to that next phase. We believe that age is nothing but a number, and so we celebrate life in its fullest. And so today, as always, we've got an exciting show for you. We've got two great guests. And of course, I'm always happy to be the guy with all the beautiful ladies around him. So, hey, my winning streak continues. And so, again, I'd like to first introduce my co host. We call her Miss Beautiful because she told us that. And we had to agree, it was unanimous. And that's, of course, Miss Jean Hendricks. Good afternoon, Jean.
Good afternoon, David, and thank you so much for those wonderful adjectives used to describe me. Back to you.
And of course, the lady who is sort of like, she's not only our guest, but she's sort of like one of the producers of the show. She helps us get everything together. She's one of the executive pastors at the House of Hope Atlanta. And she is just a tremendous resource, and we're so glad to have Dr. Sharon Mitchell here with us. Good afternoon, Dr. Mitchell.
Good afternoon, and thank you, David. And once again, I'm excited to be part of the show.
Well, again, like I said, we talk about life and everything for basically seniors, but we don't use the term seniors because, again, it's just your life. And so one of the things that we do with this program is we like to bring each week to you people who can provide that enrichment. And so today we've got two young ladies here, and we'd love to introduce you to them. They're from the Jewish Family and Career Services of Atlanta. Our first guest is Ms. Terri Bonoff. She's the Chief Executive Officer. Terri, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's really wonderful to be with you today.
And I guess I got your name right. I didn't want to get it wrong.
You did it.
Okay, great. And then our other guest is Ms. Vera Golden. She's the Director of Grants and Measurement. And she began her nonprofit career back in 1988. So in 1998, should I say. So we'd like to welcome Vera to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Well, before we get started, each week, which has become a custom here on Forever Young, Jean Hendricks always has a poem or something that kind of sets the stage, that kind of gives us some kind of a tone for the show. So, Jean, I know you've got another gem for us this week.
Yes, I do, David. And this one is entitled, believe it or not, Social Services. And it says, I speak for myself alone and shall refer to remain silent and calm, with no role to harm. Even if I'm not powerful, I stay an individual with extraordinary qualities and special display for humanity. Since I have preferred social services, I shall render promises for poor and downtrodden, who should always see prosperity in a laden land. Back to you, David.
Okay, again, so right, that's what we're talking about. Social services. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Terri, as I introduced formally, she is the former business executive and elected official from Minnesota. So she was a state senator from 2005 to 2016, and she served as the chair of the Minnesota Senate Higher Education and Workforce Development Committee and championed legislation to create Minnesota Pipeline, a project which expands dual training and apprenticeships programs in Minnesota. And she'll tell us more about that. So, and Vera, as I stated earlier, began her career, nonprofit career in 1998 as the co-founder and assistant director of Youth Elements of Success, the acronym being YES. and it's a highly effective nonprofit organization that develops programs and strategies that successfully address the myriad of barriers to academic and employment success for at-risk youth. So these ladies have both been in the public realm providing services. And one thing that I've learned through my career, if you can start a service in one area, but usually you learn skill sets that are transferable to another. So now we're at the Jewish Foundation, should I say, Jewish Families and Career Services of Atlanta. So let me start off by asking, first of all, would you just please tell us a little bit about that program and what you do over there, Terri, at the Jewish Family and Career Services of Atlanta?
So I'm sorry, you asked me to tell you a little bit about Jewish Family and Career Services of Atlanta?
Yeah, tell us a
Yeah,
little
of
about
course.
the organization.
Yeah. So it's interesting because you hear the name and you might think that our services really are just for people who are Jewish, but in fact, that is not the case. So Jewish Family and Career Services is an organization that has been around for over 100 years, and we serve not just the Jewish community, but the broader community. And we focus on ways to lift people up, to remove obstacles. We're about making hope and opportunity happen is a short kind of snapshot of what it is that we do. But really our mission is to make sure that those we touch are able to live to their full potential. And so anything that might be a barrier, whether that's food, whether that's emergency financial assistance, whether it's having sound mental health, whatever the obstacle is, but before that person's experience of full potential and self-sufficiency is what we tackle.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good. Okay.
Well, that's
David,
good. Now,
I think go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask Vera the next question, but you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, one of the things I was going to say from something that she said, that you're trying to provide well-rounded services, which is really key. And the fact that the Jewish name sometimes might throw people off, and it's really good to get that message out. Me coming from the Northeast, I know that there are a lot of Jewish organizations that did serve the broader community. So glad that we got that clarified at the onset. What did you want to say, G? Next question?
No, I was going to ask Vera the next question. Go ahead. Vera, would you tell us about the organization?
Certainly. So Jewish Family and Career Services was founded in 1891 as Jewish Family Services with a focus on resettlement for Jewish immigrants and refugees who are seeking refuge in the United States. In 1981, the Jewish Family Services merged with Jewish Vocational Services and became Jewish Family and Career Services. And so that's our background. Over the years of resettlement, services expanded beyond just the Jewish immigrants and refugees. And so we started serving all immigrants and refugees that we could serve. As it was essential to connect those populations to a myriad of services, JFNCS began to provide social services in addition to partnering with various agencies and services to assist the resettlement clients with culturally aligned resources. And that is one of the things that we are best known for, is our ability to partner and to align services with the needs that culturally respond to the clients that we serve. So in recent years, we have been providing comprehensive services for clients to provide a holistic approach to healing the whole person. Our service areas include older adult services, counseling services, career services, services for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and then we also have the Ben Massell Dental Clinic. We have support services that include transportation, emergency assistance, and kosher food pantry.
Very good.
Now, that's a handful. So you are
Yes.
very busy over there. I wanted to know, just judging by your title, in terms of grants and development, apparently, I guess the next question is, how are you able to do all these things? You know, how is the organization funded? Either of you ladies can answer that question.
Vera, you take that one.
I'll take that one, thanks. Okay, so we have a diversified funding structure because we do have an awful lot of services, like you said, and we serve a lot of clients. The service foundation structure is using annual campaign, private donations, public foundations, federated dollars, that includes the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta and the United Way of Greater Atlanta. We have government funding, that would be federal, state, and county levels. We have special events, third-party fees, and private pay.
All right.
Okay.
That's quite a bit.
Yes.
Dr. Mitchell, did you want to have a go at that?
Yes, I had a question. Since you provide these services, what is the eligibility for those who are interested in receiving your services? Is it income driven?
So because we have a variety of funding sources, we have a variety of eligibility. That just comes with grants and funding sources. So the eligibility requirements, we try to make every effort to serve everyone who comes to receive a service. Being grant funded though, we have other restrictions sometimes that we have to respond to. And those are not limited to, but they are most commonly the age range. If we're serving older adults, sometimes, you know, there's different ages that define older adults. Depends on who the funder is. You can be 55, you can be 60, 62, 65. And so that's one of the things. Household income is a consideration, especially for government grants, county of residence, for grants that might come from the counties, insurance status, citizenship status. And then if you're Jewish or not sometimes, because there is funding that's designated specifically to services that are priorities in the Jewish community.
Okay.
So, and if I
Thank
might
you.
just add to that, so as Vera mentioned, there are some programs that serve just the Jewish community, but then we also have a program that we haven't yet mentioned. That's the Ben Massell Dental Clinic. And the Ben Massell Dental Clinic is over on the west side. It's off 14th Street. And that clinic provides charity dental care completely based on income levels. So those who are low income, they can receive, you know, preventative checkups. They can have oral surgery,
Wow.
we do orthodontia, just complete, broad, comprehensive dental care. We use volunteer dentists from the community, and we have state-of-the-art equipment. And then we have dental hygienists that actually serve those volunteer dentists who are part of our team. In addition to providing the dental care, we have wraparound support in social services. So we have a case manager, a social worker. And during this time of COVID, we're actually pivoting to make sure that given that we can't do the same amount of dental care during this time, we're making sure that we serve holistically that community.
So what
We also raise unrestricted funding as well, so that we can support the needs of people without having to go through any type of eligibility requirement whenever we can.
what precautions are you taking now during the COVID-19 as you serve your clients?
So it's very different depending on the service area. That's a great question, Jean. So for example, we have 7 residential homes where we house adults with developmental disabilities. And so we're doing that whether we're in COVID times or not. So we have to be so very careful. We're making sure that our staff always wears PPE, that they take precautions and make sure they haven't been exposed to somebody who has COVID. If they have any symptoms, they don't come, they get tested. And we can say, which is really a blessing, is that we have not yet had a COVID case since this began among the residents of our 7 homes. And we don't take this for granted. It could happen on any day, but that's one example. But then there are other things. So for example, our food pantry, that's still open, and we take great precautions about, when those people come to pick up, when we have food delivered. We have healthy, safe distance processes and protocols in place. But our regular day-to-day work, we're not doing in person. The regular day-to-day work we have shifted to virtually, and we're doing that to keep the health and safety of both our staff, our clients, and the community as our top priority.
Right. Very good. Thank you.
If you're just tuning in, you're tuning in to Hope TV. You're looking at Forever Young, and today we're talking about senior services and enriching their lives through social services. And we're talking with Terri Bonoff, along with Vera Golden from the Jewish Family and Career Services of Atlanta, giving us some really great information about the services that they've been providing. I had a question that I wanted to pose to you. What message have you learned with in the nonprofit in this giving kind of environment? It takes, first of all, it takes your staff. Is it volunteer staff or is it employed staff? And how do people come to be a part of what you're doing?
Well, so we have approximately 200 staff. That includes full-time and part-time. And so if we look at it from the staff perspective, we made a decision early on that we knew we were going to be called upon to serve in ways we couldn't dream of. And so we knew that in order for our staff to step up and meet the needs of what was going to be happening, they had to have peace of mind about themselves and their family. Because if you are worried about your own income, if you're worried about your ability to care for your children or your parents, you can't be there to meet the needs of someone else. And so early on, we as a management team stated that everybody would keep their jobs and everybody would keep their wages intact, and that they would have a choice. They'd have a choice about coming to work. If they had to take care of their children, they could make that choice, and that we would work around that. And I think you really saw that when you take those things off the table, people really step up and they deliver beyond what you ever could have thought. And so I have been just in awe of our team and watching them deliver services in this way. It's not easy. Today, I had the occasion to have a conversation with all of our clinicians who are providing mental health support, and they shared about how hard it is to go hour after hour after hour providing that kind of care. So that was an important lesson that I learned, is you tell your family of workers that they're going to be taken care of, and then they have room to take care of others.
That's a great philosophy. And anybody who's watching that's a really great philosophy.
Yeah.
And that's for any business, for any establishment. Yeah. I think when you take care of your workforce, they can produce, they can provide better services, because they are, as you said, if they're not concerned about their own families, then they are in a better position to provide the services that you guys. Now, you guys said you had 7 houses. Tell us about that, because that's a lot. You just gave us the stats on how many employees. So does each house, where they're located, different services? How does that work infrastructurally?
Go ahead, Vera.
Well, the houses that we have are for our clients who have intellectual and developmental disabilities, and those are houses where they are able to reside and they learn independent living skills. They're in different parts of the metro, and those are clients who are just treasured during this COVID-19. They have had different type of instruction and activity. These clients typically come to our agency. They can do supportive employment type training, where they can go out and they get to go into the community and be around other people and just, live and share. And so that's not possible. It hasn't been possible, unfortunately, since March. However, the staff is so inspired and they're very comfortable. They're being taken care of. And so it's, as Terri said, it makes it easier for them to give and take care of the clients. And they have come up with such great ideas on how to provide instruction and fun and just keep everybody engaged. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. The transformation has been almost overnight, and they haven't missed a step. And this is a service that it's a difficult service. It's difficult for staff because it's very intensive. It's one-on-one, making sure that clients are safe and that they're healthy, that their needs are met, keeping their families informed about how they're progressing, and making sure that everyone feels included across the board at the agency.
That's
Okay.
that, and you know, I'm very seldom speechless. We've had a lot of guests here, but you all are just, I mean, you ladies are just representative of such great work. And it, you know, we talk about we're our brothers and sisters keepers, and needing to look after and take care of each other. You guys are just doing such a tremendous job. And you know, I think I was going to ask. It says something. It says career services. So the career services, are their focus? Are there seniors who are looking for, or young people? What is the career part of your mission?
Yeah, so it's changed over time. So, for example, in 2008, when there was a great recession, we really ramped up our career services division. There were so many people out of work that we put on more staff, we placed people, we worked with employers. That was one aspect. Then when the economy got better and there weren't as many people out of work, then we were more narrowly focused. We focused on supportive work, so our clients with disabilities, to place them where they had a vocational counselor. We did also continue to do things like LinkedIn classes and resume work. We had a couple contracts with the county to provide employment assistance for dislocated workers and workers who would fall into categories of difficult to place. We were given some government dollars to be able to perform that function. And now we're taking a step back and saying, okay, now COVID, who are we in the careers area? Because our mission and our strategy is to be responsive and adaptive, guided by Jewish values, but to be responsive and adaptive to the changing needs of the community. So we are planning to, again, ramp up. We know so many people are out of work. In July, they're still getting unemployment benefits, but that may end. That extra $600 per person may go away if the Congress doesn't reauthorize it. And so we know there's going to be a huge onslaught of people needing work. In addition, it's our intention to work with young people who are at risk of not being able to live to their full potential and help them get internships so that we better prepare them for the world of work. And that's really the work I was doing in Minnesota that you alluded to when you first spoke about my bio, that I've been able to continue in Atlanta in a couple different ways. And so we're hoping to continue that work as part of a project we're going to be doing at JF&CS.
Okay, very good. David, if I may ask, I think Vera would be the one to answer this question. If someone wanted to partner with your agency, who would they contact and what would they do?
That's a great question. Partnerships is one of the things that enables us to provide really good comprehensive services for people. And so we have a chief impact officer that they could contact, and any of our directors of any of the services. I'm happy to provide names for you. If you'd like, I can give you those names now, or we can send them to you later so that you can have them available. But you can pretty much contact anyone at JF&CS and we will get you to the right person.
Give us a number. Give a number.
Our website is jfcsatl.org.
Okay, thank you.
So David, I have a question along that lines. If I was in need of your services, what do I need to do if I wanted to manage of the mental health services or food services? How do I get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we have phone numbers for each of our service areas. We have an intake line that's strictly for those who want clinical mental health support. We have another intake line that's for emergency financial assistance or food pantry. And we have a basic number that a receptionist answers during the working hours, but then we have after hours call as well, so that we'll direct you to the right place. It's a concierge approach. You call us and we'll make sure you get to the right place. And we're going to provide the whole list so that you can provide your viewers following this conversation a list of good phone numbers.
Okay, very good.
I'm a little concerned.
Excellent.
Though. I'm concerned because Dr. Mitchell never talked about mental health until she started working with Gene and myself. So I'm kind of concerned about that.
Listen,
are we driving you crazy?
mental health needs. Mental health is not a stigma. We all could use mental health support.
Yes,
but you know that is a very important service now, because one of the things that I do when I'm not doing this, I'm a program a radio station, and one of the things that we're getting a lot of information and a lot of inquiries about people because of mental health, depression during this whole COVID time. So you know that need for that service is really valuable, because people are having difficulty coping with. Maybe they're having problem being in those close confines with people that they say they love, but they find out they may not like them as much some days. Or just the fact that the freedom has been, you know, limited. So, you know, that's again, I think it's really important people to know and for you to, you know, to talk about that part, because it really is a service that at this time, you know, anybody could be in need of that, because sometimes you just need someone to talk to. So again, you all have such a great amount of services. Again, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Miss Vera Golden, along with Terri Bonoff from the Jewish Center for Social Services. We're talking about social services, and there's the Jewish Family and Career Services of Atlanta. JFNCS is how they go by. And you know, this has been such a great conversation. And of course, you know, we never get enough time to talk about all the things that we'd like to. But I would like to take this opportunity for you each to tell us something. If you want to wrap it up and put it in the bowl, tell us something about the organization and that our listeners need to know, or if you've got a message that you want to get out to our viewers, because we are this is a global, but we're in a global city, a global platform. So this is an opportunity, free advertising.
Well, thank you. And I'll let Vera close with that message, because I wanted to share something else, and I'm glad you gave us the opportunity to do that. So, you know, as I talked about, that the first thing we wanted to do is make sure that the staff knew that they were safe from an economic and a care perspective. But in the middle of COVID, you know, our world changed for all of us. It got very rocked when, you know, George Floyd was shot and killed, and the whole world understood that it was time to address the culture of racism that exists all over this country and all over the world. And so we at Jeff and CS knew that it was time for us to have a deeper conversation with regard to that. We have a very, very diverse workforce. We have an executive leadership team that's diverse. We have staff that's diverse. Our direct service professionals, who are the ones caring for the most vulnerable, is an extremely diverse workforce. So it was very important to our staff and to me, really, that we didn't think of this as something that was happening external to JFNCS, that we in fact brought that conversation internally. And so we started by gathering a group of staff to say, how do we want to address this? And we decided to open it up to the team and invite people to share about their personal stories and just what it's been like in their own life as they've confronted some of these things. And actually, Vera was one of the people who shared personally. So we had several people do personal sharing, and then We got into small Zoom groups that were facilitated by volunteers from our staff, and we had deeper conversations. And that was about 2 weeks ago. That took place it took an hour and a half to do. We're going to do another conversation on Wednesday, and we'll continue that. And really, it is our intention to then come back as a staff and say, what actions are we going to take in furtherance of our commitment to have a culture that is inclusive, is based on equity, equality, respect, understanding that we all believed we had that, but knowing it's never really all that. And so we're going to do that, and then we're going to pivot and say, who can JAF and CS be for the broader community? How can we help? What skills, talent, and ability can we bring to the bigger community? So for example, a board member said, why don't you contact the police department at Atlanta Police Department and say, we can help de-escalate. Our social workers could provide training and help in situations where there's violence. So we don't know where this is going to go, but I just wanted to share that we are partners with the entire community in this effort, and that we hold the values of inclusivity, equity, and accessible for all very near and dear to our hearts.
Thank you so much for that. That's something that's really needed. So we hope that you are successful in it, and let us know if there's anything we can do to assist in that. Now, Vera, you wanted to, she pitched it to you. I just caught it now. I'm passing it back to you.
Thank you. I think the best message is that JF&CS is a family, and that is why we are able to bring people into our workforce, our services, and be a part of our family. The agency is open to everyone. We are happy to help. We are so excited to be a part of the community, both the Jewish and the broader community. We listen to what people are telling us about our services. We collect data to make sure that we're providing services that meet the needs of the people that we're serving. People bring us needs that we don't even know about. We're very much a community organization. We love our clients, and we are ready to go. Whenever there is an issue, if there's something we can do, even if it's just to bring awareness so that it can be addressed, if it's a partnership that we can develop, if we can get a safety net together, we're all about making sure that everyone can live to their fullest potential and that everyone has access to hope and opportunity for a more fruitful and just a life that they can enjoy and pass on generation to generation.
Very good.
All right. Dean, anything you want to wrap up with before we close out the show?
No, just to say to those beautiful ladies how much information they have shared with us. And I have learned also about their organization and what it offers to our community. I've learned quite a bit. Thank you both so much for being with us, and look forward to learning more about the information that you will send to us, the phone number and pamphlets, whatever you have available that we can use within our own ministry. We would love to have that.
Thank you for
again.
having us as your guests.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Mitchell, anything that you'd like to say before we put a bow on this one?
Just wanted to share with the ladies that we certainly will be passing their information on to our congregation, and for everyone who's listening, that there is help out there, and we believe that this is one of those organizations that we can partner with and take advantage of and help people in the community. So thank you again for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
Well, thank you once again. I'm going to echo what my two lovely co-hosts said. Again, Terri and Vera, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here today on Hope TV Forever Young. We thank you for the work that you're doing on behalf of not just seniors, but the community as a whole. It's because of work through organizations like yourself that we are a better society. And if people would just duplicate some of the efforts that you are putting forth, we would be in a much better space. So once again, thank you again for joining us. On behalf of our executive producer, Dr. Dewey Smith, Tamla, and the entire Hope TV staff, we want to thank you again for joining us for another edition of Forever Young, because remember, life is age is nothing but a number. Life, you're young as you feel. And as we always say, if you keep your mind set on youth, you're forever young. Until next week, I'm
Amen.
David C. Linton for Sharon Mitchell and Gene Hendricks. Be safe. God bless. Wash your hands, wear your mask, and watch your distance. Bye now.